America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Positively Carol, today we have Celebrated America National History Day competition, and Commissioner Howard, I'll turn it over to you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we're very excited to have today with us a number of folks that have really gone out and taken the notion of celebrating America even to the next level. As you probably know, it's something that started as an initiative in the last Board of Commissioners, and we've had a number of events and activities, and really a couple of years ago started an event that kind of culminated in sort of the signature event for the program. This year, which is really exciting, that program is going to be combined with the National History Day competition that's done through the schools, which brings together both the school system and some really, really great projects and activities with this program. So today we have some speakers on that. We have with us Beth Brown from the Carroll County Public Schools, Gaynor Davis, who's the director of the Historical Society of Carroll County, Scott Holnicker from the Carroll County Farm Museum, Jane Sewell from Union Mills Homestead, Frank Rauschenberg, Post 48, the 29th Division Association, and our own Tony Eckert from the Carroll County Public Library System. So welcome. We're excited about the event, and you guys are going to give us some information about that, correct?
Yes.
And given our propensity to pick weekends where we know, well, we don't know, but we can almost guarantee the weather's going to be somewhat challenging, I commend you all for picking an event that's indoors. So that in of itself gets us off to a good start.
There's something to be said from learning from experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
So on behalf of Celebrating America Partners, I'm Tony Eckert, and I'd like to thank the commissioners for your support for Celebrating America over the years. Going to give you a brief update on Celebrating America and share with you information about our big event on Saturday, the Celebrating America History Expo at National History Day. As Commissioner Howard stated, the Board of County Commissioners started Celebrating America, and we have kept the flame alive. And we've kept the flame alive really through partnership. And I think the event on Saturday exemplifies how those partnerships have worked to keep Celebrating America at the forefront and continuing to build upon what we've done in the past. The National History Day, that's on the slide right now, is this Saturday at Winters Mill, and it was started by it's a national program, but it's been sponsored by Carroll County Public Schools for the past several years, and they opened it up to allow Celebrating America to join and create have the Celebrating America History Expo at National History Day. So it's a place where it'll be a day where history is not only appreciated but revered. So it's an example of partnership with the school system. Some of the highlights I think that I want to focus on with the History Day are accessibility, preservation, and technology. And with the slide that's there now, accessibility. One of the new Celebrating America partners is the Post 48 Jerome L. Day post from the 29th Division Association. They're a new Celebrating America partner, and they're going to be bringing their history on Saturday, both in person and in the form of their national display, to be accessible, to bring it to the school, to bring it to our youth, to share rich history of the 29th Division that has great local roots, to be there for our students to see and to interact with. Also, with preservation, we'll come to a slide just after this one, which will show how local stories are so important to our Celebrating America effort, and the local story of Warren Dorsey, which was captured by author Jack White in his book, In Carrie's Footprints, The Long Walk of Warren Dorsey. This is another way that we're making that history accessible to our young people and a part of the day on Saturday. And then finally, technology. Technology sort of rules the day now, doesn't it? And with a grant that we received, the library received from the LSTA, that's the Library Services and Technology Act, we were able to partner with the Union Mills Homestead to bring, to focus on some of their artifacts and to bring their venue alive through technology, through augmented reality. And on Saturday, you'll be able to see a display that features AR, augmented reality, which brings to life the homestead and the tannery building in a new way, which again reaches out to our youth. It's lively, it's today, and it makes our event all the more interesting and engaging. So those three things: the accessibility, pardon me here, but the preservation and the technology, I think, are ways that we've really strived to make Celebrating America work through partnership. Some of the other vendors who will be there on Saturday include McDaniel College, the Hoover Library, their collection of death masks, the 29th Division Association, Carroll County's Public Schools New Windsor Archaeological Dig is going to be featured. The Pipe Creek Civil War Roundtable, the Sykesville Gatehouse Museum, and then of course we're featuring Warren Dorsey and Jack McBride White, Tawnytown Heritage and Museum Association, the Historical Society of Carroll County Farm Museum, Union Mills Homestead, Carroll County Public Library, and WTTR. There'll be food available for folks so they don't have to run down the road to find something to eat. So it'll be a great day. It's from 8:30 to 2:30 at Winters Mill High School. Again, thank you, Commissioners, for your support, and I wanted to open it up for my partners if they'd have any information that they would like to share.
Coming up to the microphone.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you.
Hit the mic, Frank.
Yeah.
Well, don't hit it, because Frank will
Frank
hit
M.
it. Don't-
Rauschenberg from 29th Division Association. We're happy to partner with the county and the Carroll County Library Service, and it's an opportunity for us here. And we will be at the Winters Mill High School. We also have a traveling display that will be there. And the traveling display of the 29th Division dates back to World War I on up to current times. I mentioned last year, we had 440 soldiers in the 29th Division who served in one-year tour over in the Middle East there. They have come back to home now. But also in conjunction with the history here, Jerome L. Day, the post is named Jerome L. Day Post 48. Jerome L. Day was the first Carroll County resident who was killed in action in World War I, October the 8th, 1918. We will, after the ceremonies at Winters Mill, we will have a memorial services behind the old City Hall, which is now the part of the Historical Society, in the garden area, where we have a memorial for Jerome L. Day and a tree plant there. And we'll have a memorial services there. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
Thank you, guys, for Tony and for all your associates. Thank you for what you're doing here. This is tremendous, keeping history alive.
Morning, Commissioner. Scott Holniker, Curator of the Carroll County Farm Museum. Our exhibit for this particular event is going to lay out, hopefully, the aspect of local history. There'll be pamphlets as well as a youth table, so there'll be youth activities there that'll hopefully engage the younger children. There'll be some puzzles there that are made by the blacksmiths at the facility. So we're hoping to engage that type of interest to bring forward our history and to make it available and and we're very pleased to be part of this particular event. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, well,
Anybody
good luck
else?
on Saturday. Yeah.
Anyone else? Oh, all right.
Very quickly, I would be remiss if I didn't take an opportunity, because I know this is a Positively Carol segment of the Commissioners' meeting, and I appreciate the opportunity, Commissioners, to speak to you this morning. And it is one of those things that we can celebrate about our community. It would not be possible with the number of volunteers that we get in the form of judges from these organizations, the awards that the local community, you have provided to honor kids. You win first or second prize in the contest, but we can honor honor kids' efforts with special prizes. And that's been done through our kindness of our colleagues here, through you, and we are really appreciative of that and appreciative of the community that supports the History Day process. And to reiterate what Tony said about technology, that's where our largest student presence is right now, because we have a website coming in on the disputed election of, as an example, of 1876, and we have documentaries on banned books in the school system. So I think we're going to be hot to trot on Saturday with the kids and the things that they've chosen to connect to conflict and compromise. So I'm really appreciative of the community, their support, and of the partnership support and your support of what the kids are doing at History Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds very interesting.
Join us.
I plan to be there.
Is there a photo? Thank you. Was there a photo op or not? No?
No.
Did you want to put one out for a press release today? I think it might be a good opportunity to do that.
Everybody have a photo if we have.
Can you look photogenic today, Commissioner Howard?
I am looking quite nice, yes.
Yes, so there's that.
Come on up.
Well, Matt's right there.
Matt's right there.
There he is.
You don't have to get
He's
anybody.
waiting.
He's ahead of Told you guys how many of
Never enough, obviously.
Plus I might get hugs. Pretty good, neighbor. How are you doing?
I'm sorry.
Big history hug. Scott, sorry. Thanks.
I just used my blocker. Oh, then you offer me a blocker, and I'm over here.
Good? Okay. Good, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Very excited.
Good to see you. Yes. Yeah, apparently that's the report.
I do have one other little thing.
Yeah, I got it. So, wait for them.
Take that as a no, fine.
Mr. President, if I could also, I know we try to call out our staff when they do exceptionally great things as well, and that whole effort has been supported and organized internally by Vivian Daly on our staff, so we should really recognize she does a great job of coordinating things and making sure they come off the way they should, so.
All right, thank you. Do you have anything else for Positively Carol?
I just want to say Commissioner Wentz and I were at Farm Credit on Friday, the grand reopening, I guess, of their banking facility out by the airport, and it was a very nice event. They have moved all their offices to that one location, and I think it's a growth type thing for them. So, and they are a large bank, whether you know it or not, in the agricultural community. So,
They're actually branching out into other parts of the community now, too, so.
yes,
that's
they
where got
are
their
reaching out to
start,
commercial wins, commercial lending, and
Yep.
they're growing.
I was going to go, but I heard that they weren't giving out samples, so.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I could barely get the Weaver, he was eating the whole time.
Thanks.
Mr. Wayne, you have
You want- Just one quick thing. I had the opportunity to attend the retirement party for a local hero, if you will, Corporal Frank Fornoff of the Maryland State Police, who spent his entire career here at the Westminster Barrack, was honored Saturday night for his 22 years of service to citizens across the state, but specifically here in Carroll, because again, he did spend most of his time here. And I think it's fitting that I bring it up today because again, yesterday in the state of Maryland, we lost another law enforcement officer, a 20 or 14-year veteran in the Prince George's County Police Department. So, want to make sure that we keep everybody in our thoughts, but certainly when we're able to honor folks like Corporal Fornoff, I think it's important to do that. So, congratulations to him, and we certainly do wish him. All of my colleagues signed a proc that we gave to him, so I appreciate that, and certainly wish him well in his future endeavors.
Anything else? I'd just like to say then that this past week, I actually don't even remember what night it was, but one of the nights this past week, I went and volunteered at the cold weather shelter in Westminster. And I have to say, I was extremely impressed because there's only one paid staff member there. Everyone else is volunteers. There's a number of people there that you get there a little early to help set up because there's a group that comes in, and it's a different group each time, that serves a hot meal. Then you check the people in, and it's a process to check them in because make sure everything's going to be safe when they come in, and you help them out. And there's all kinds of donated items there as well, mostly soaps and toothbrush and that kind of stuff, and socks, underwears, and everyone's asking for all that stuff. But all that stuff is donated, and everyone there working except for one paid staff member are all volunteers. It was extremely impressive. Was well run. Everyone coming in knows what to expect. I was very impressed that evening. So that was nice. And I also want to say that we had our zoning text meeting here for the Westminster area downstairs in the Reagan Room. That was extremely well attended. Some really good questions were asked. I mean, people want to get involved, and the more community involvement you have, the better it is for the process. So I thank everyone that came out. I understand all the meetings so far have been very well attended as well. So it's very, very positive for both those things. Is that it? All right, then. We'll move on to our first item. Royal Legacy Program option to purchase on the Terry Lee Stocksdale property. We should have, I guess, Deborah Bowers and J.P. Smith.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Appreciate the time before you today to talk about the Terry Lee Stocksdale property, which we are... Okay. Which we are bringing to you for consideration for approval. This farm is located on 403 Lees Mill Road in Hampstead. It's all state funding is being used, 60.33 acres. The cost is $277,331, and we're retiring 6 lot rights. Here are a few pictures of the farm and the roads associated with it.
You got it. Here, look at mine.
And we are requesting approval for the option contract for Mr. Stocksdale.
So what was the
You have any
dollar amount?
questions?
What was the dollar amount again?
$277,331.
6 lot rights, okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I'll move the Board of Commissioners exercise an option to purchase a Rural Legacy Program conservation easement on the Terry Lee Stocksdale property.
You have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further questions?
And obviously, this is all state funding, so this is coming
Yes,
out
sir.
of that Maryland program.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
Rural
is good
Legacy
property.
through the Department of Natural Resources.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to get your take on it, Commissioner
Yeah.
Weaver, because I'm sure you're familiar.
Very, yeah, very good property to put into this.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
And our second item is Department of Land and Resource bid approval, on-site engineering services. There we go. Have Mr. Clay Black and Mike Myers, I believe.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, the Bureau of Development Review has the need for a professional engineering firm to perform plan review services on site here at the county. We went out for proposals, we received 6, and we'd like you to award the contract today to Hanover Land Services in the amount of $97.50 an hour for these professional review services. You can see from the briefing paper, there was one company that was considerably lower. We did, after reviewing the proposal, have some concerns about their experience with this type of work. And probably more importantly, it's an on-call, as-needed contract. We'll pay you for the hours that you actually do work. They were more interested in a full 2,000-hour, full-time position. So they really weren't interested in the hourly work as much as they were being employed for an entire year. Historically, that we just don't come close to that. So Hanover Land Services is going to be your better value.
Mr. President, I'll move that we award the contract for on-site engineering services to Hanover Land Services on an as-needed basis in the amount of $97.50 an hour.
I'll second that. How many hours a year do we usually use somebody like this?
We usually roughly are running, they're actually performing the service now. It's usually about 40 hours a month. It's about two times a week, 2 days a week, sometimes 3 days a week, depending on what is needed.
Okay.
I can tell you historically, we used this service from July 2014 through October 2015, used 460 hours during that period. We filled the position with a county employee for a while, then we went back to using the contractor from October 2016 through December 2017, and that was another 550 hours. So in the neighborhood of 500 hours, per term.
Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, request approval to submit payment for expenditures in the Keystone Project. We should have Scott Campbell and Vicki McDonald.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioners, we're here today, and I apologize, let me back up. Scott Campbell, Director of Public Safety, and it's my pleasure to have with me today Ms. Vicki McDonald, who's Director of the Sheriff's Bureau of Administrative Services, and more importantly, or applicable today, the overall project manager for this, as we've come to know it, either the Keystone Project or Project Eclipse, as it's been marketed. Commissioners, today we're here to ask for your concurrence so that we can pay all the numerous invoices that we have received from Keystone Public Safety. That, if you recall from the previous presentation of this effort, that is the vendor selected to be our new CAD or computer-aided dispatch vendor. Simply put, by their invoicing practices, they send numerous invoices. I'm talking a dozen or more, and they vary in the amount, and they simply invoice based on the individual, whether it's software, licensing, training, etc. Because there are so many invoices and they vary, I have the delegated authority to sign some, and others exceed that. For full transparency, I'm here today to ask for your concurrence to pay all those bills. They are within scope, they are budgeted, etc. I'm simply here asking as an administrative function for your authority to pay those bills.
Has anyone gone through all the invoices to make sure that we were invoiced correctly?
Not only that, sir, but actually reduce some of them as a result of that vetting by Ms. McDonald working directly with the vendor. So absolutely are confident they are
I
correct.
match up the initial proposals to all the invoices to what was actually implemented. And of course, as you go through the project, you have some things that could possibly get tweaked as you confirm the needs from an idea a year ago. So we actually, the vendor was wonderful to work with and made adjustments as we needed to throughout the project. So now I've gone through every line of every invoice of the entire proposal.
Where are we in the budget? Under, over?
We're under the initial estimates, so we're within the complete project budget for that vendor.
We are on target.
Yes, on target.
Mr. President, I'll move that we authorize the Director of Public Safety to approve payment of the invoices received from Keystone Public Safety Incorporated.
Have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Roberta, in the future, is this one of those areas where we might do this when we do the expenditure as well? give the director the authority to pay the, they came up with IT before, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We've learned.
What's that?
We've learned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I mean, not that we don't like seeing you, but,
No.
yeah. And you picked a good morning, so.
Streamlines.
That's exactly
Right. Okay, next item, overview of the Maryland Healthy Working Families Act of 2018. Ms. Kim Frock.
Good
This
morning.
is just a briefing.
Good morning.
Morning.
Get my presentation up here.
I love the way that something that has a good bit of negative impact sounds such like they've titled it so lovely.
I have no comment.
It's all about the label.
That's right. Okay. Again, good morning, Commissioners. Today, I'm here to provide you the overview on the Maryland Healthy Working Families Act. That's a mouthful. Also referred to as the Sick and Safe Leave. The law went into effect on February 11th. As you recall, it was overridden in legislative session last year, and it was vetoed last year, overridden at the beginning of this session. So, just a quick overview of the law. It requires those employers with 15 or more employees to provide up to a maximum of 40 hours of sick and safe leave per year. There are two specific requirements that employees must meet. First, they must be regularly scheduled to work 12 hours a week, and they have to be 18 years of age. And leave can be utilized,
Bless you.
obviously, for sick leave, bless you, to take. Do you need leave?
I'm good.
No? Okay.
You need sick and safe.
You need sick and safe leave today?
5 days or something.
But employees can use that to treat their illness or family member's illness, but also to deal with issues related to domestic violence, whether that be for medical or mental health attention related to domestic violence, obtain legal services, go to a victim services organization for assistance, or if they've been forced to relocate. You can also use this leave for that. If the leave policies of the employer meet or exceed the law, there needs to be no change. We would not have to grant additional leave. We are fine in our leave policies for our full-time, part-time, and contingent employees. So there'd be no change for those folks.
Does it prevent, what's not included is if they're off for mental illness not related to domestic abuse, is that right? Or?
Well, that could be to care for their own. That's the domestic.
Okay, all right.
This runs side by side. So for
Gotcha.
full and part-time employees, we do have minimal change. There's no change to the leave accruals because we do meet or exceed the law. We are going to rename family sick leave to family sick and safe leave.
Okay.
That's the only change. There is no change in how much family sick leave you get. We're just changing the name. And it also expands the definition of family member to meet the law. Right now, we define family member as spouse, parent, and children. This further includes mother and father-in-law, grandparents, grandchildren, and siblings of the employee. So those are the additional folks that they can take leave for. Contingent employees, again, they're
Wait a
also
minute.
fine.
Give me that list again.
Which list? The first one or the second one?
The definition of a family member.
Yeah.
Now,
Now.
with our current policy, is spouse, parent, and children.
Okay.
Now they will be able to use it for mother and father-in-law, grandparents, grandchildren, and siblings.
For you, it's anyone in Carroll County.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, so.
Is this each occurrence
No, it's just for the year.
for
You have
total?
to make sure they have 40 hours a year. For our contingent folks, they're on paid time off or a PTO plan. We don't need to change anything for them. They have enough leave allocated to them to meet the law. What we will do is give them another leave code for PTO sick and safe leave. So they will be able to designate, is it just plain PTO or am I using it for sick and safe leave? That's the only change for our grant contingent.
How long are contracts with our employees? Aren't they typically one-year contracts? So trying to change this mid-contract, doesn't that constitute an impairment of contracts, Tim? We shouldn't be able to break this until the next contract.
Not for, well, for contingent, we're already covered, so we don't have to do anything for them.
You're not taking anything away from anybody either by doing this. You're
Taking something away from taxpayers.
But we'll be paying them whether they're working or they're off. I mean, it's productivity is what you're losing. The cost would still be there.
What do you think the cost per year will be on this? Do you have any forecast, any idea?
But again,
It's tough to even
it's a
imagine.
productivity cost. It's really not a financial cost, because if they're not here, we're still paying, we're going to pay them 40 hours of leave, but if they're here, we're going to pay them. So
Yeah,
it's what bucket are you paying it out of?
but that productivity being lost and somebody
That would be an
fills
impact.
in,
I have
that's
not put a dollar amount on that, no.
a tough one.
So, okay, for our contractual folks, we do have two statuses of contractual, pretty much. We have those that are here year-round. And again, they would be granted 40 hours of PTO at the beginning of their contract term, which are one-year contracts. We won't let them use their leave for the first 106 days. That's stipulated in the law. To the best of my knowledge, that was put in because of Ocean City and the seasonal folks down there. That's where that 106 days came from. Again, they get PTO, so they can designate it as PTO regular or PTO sick and safe leave.
What's the difference? If I'm taking off, what difference does it make how I designate that?
They want us to, this law requires us also to track how much sick and safe leave they are utilizing,
So
to make
they-
sure we're giving them the
So they're saying
appropriate
that
amount.
just so you can track it's differently?
Yes.
Doesn't have anything to do with how I
No.
take it, okay.
Nope.
All right.
And unused leave will not be carried forward to a subsequent contract. So if you didn't use your 40 hours, you don't get to keep that 40 and get another 40. And we are front-loading all this leave so that we don't have to let them carry that over from contract to contract.
So you're just looking
Those
at,
roles get very difficult.
you're just looking at the county on this, but countywide with all businesses and things, this could have tremendous impact.
Private industry, yes, I believe it would have, because you've got a lot of part-time people in different retail settings, mostly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking of, but a lot of those are going to be children under the age of 18, so it might not be as bad for them. But I couldn't say
Yeah,
for
I mean, you
sure.
can't even fathom the economic impact this will have on the whole county, but it will be significant.
No, and that's not something that obviously is under my purview to
Dick.
look at.
Yeah, Dick, I talked to a gentleman last night who runs a small business. Well, he's got 75 employees, so it's medium size, I guess. I don't know how you rate
No, that's
those.
still small, it's considered
Yeah,
small.
okay. He anticipates because of this, he's going to lose 45 of those employees because he can't afford to do this.
So why don't we do what we're paid to do and refuse to do this and stand in defense of our businesses and file a lawsuit against the state for violating Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution that prohibits the passage of laws that impact on private civil contracts, and take a stand against this. In fact, I'll make that a motion.
Can
Okay, we have a
I finish
motion.
this piece before you guys handle
Yeah.
that?
Okay. All right, you want to table your motion until she gets on her presentation?
That's fine.
All right, thank you.
Just in case there's more questions, that's all. Okay, so that's our year-round folks. Our seasonal folks, again, they'd get the 40 hours at the beginning of their contract period. They wouldn't be able to use it for the first 106 days, so for a lot of them, they'd never get to use it. If they're only here for 3 months, it would not be available to them. And they wouldn't be compensated for leave, any unused leave, when the termination, or when the contract terminates at the end of their season, if it's seasonal. We have, in our managers meeting that we have, I did discuss this with all the level 2 managers, so bureau chiefs and up. We've had this discussion. They have started pushing it down to their employees. I know several of them have already talked to their employees. We have worked with our governmental partners to make sure they're aware of where this bill is at and what we are doing. I've been working with HR directors around the state because we were all scrambling to get our policies done. And we did get ours done. Tim has it to approve for legal sufficiency, so we do have that done. And I just want to make that you know that our governmental partners are good as well. So that we've been getting them the information that they need.
This has already been passed in this law at the
Yes, sir.
present time.
It's only a law if it's constitutional.
So any questions of me before you consider your motion on the floor?
That's it?
That's it.
Wow.
That's it in a nutshell, so that's the brief overview.
Right. Is
Kim,
there?
do we, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, my question was, and I know that there's been an extensive amount of work done, you just said that, and you've been working on it a long time. Is there any idea of I guess there's not really a fiscal impact that this has had up to this point, and what it could possibly mean? Or is it's kind of tough to do, I guess?
It's tough to do because it really is productivity costs. It's not necessarily financial. I mean, I know productivity affects finances, but
Right.
again, it's if they're here, you're paying them. If they're not, you're giving them leave. Now, if they go past that 40 hours, then you're not paying them, so that
Right, right.
wouldn't be a cost.
Is there any responsibility that we have for any of our vendors or anybody that stands in our shoes in a contract to make sure that they're in compliance? Do we know?
We're not required to monitor theirs now.
And keep in mind, the impact to the county is less because we already had, 99.9% of our employees are already covered by appropriate analysis of
It's really just our contract folks.
It's the contract employees that just
Mhm.
makes it interesting when you're dealing with them.
Yes.
Key word being contract, as in pre-existing civil agreement, as in prohibited interference under Article 1, Section 10. As in, why do they do this to us? Because we let them. They count on us to all comply and be good little drones, and in doing so, they're going to inflict serious pain on innocent people who are going to lose their jobs because of this. As you just cogently explained, Commissioner Wance.
Yeah, I think there's a sense that across the state, there's some means of trying to combat some of these things, but I don't know.
There are several bills in to make some modifications to this, but right
Right.
now they're not moving anywhere.
And I get a sense that as the things come out as to what happens with the changes that need to be made, that folks are going to say, wait a minute, this is really bad, because I think they're already hearing that. I mean, I don't know that there's anything that can be done now because it went into law, but
Right, but, I mean, the legislature, like I said, there's several bills in trying to
Right.
tweak this.
yeah, I get a sense that it's going to be changed.
I don't know if it will be this year, because right now the bills aren't
No, I'm
moving.
not necessarily talking about this year, but.
Right.
as-
Oh, I think there'll be pushback from the business community
Yeah,
on
I
this.
already, yes, yeah.
Of course,
Already
there's
know
been
that there is.
pushback. They've been fighting it for months. The legislature doesn't give a damn. They passed the legislation in spite of protests by the business community. Because they count on all elected officials around the state to simply surrender to their pretended legislation. They have no constitutional authority to interfere with pre-existing civil contracts. And don't tell me it promotes the general welfare when we just clearly have evidence that lots of people are going to lose their jobs. It does not promote the general welfare. Therefore, this is pretended legislation, is unconstitutional, and we have a constitutional responsibility to uphold our oaths of office and push back on this, maybe work with some of the other counties to initiate multi-county litigation against the state legislature for passing this legislation. And I'm willing to soften my motion, if this board will entertain it, to suggest that we not agree to implement this at this point in time, but work to see if we can build a multilateral team of counties that will jointly fund litigation against the legislature and send a message once and for all to these people that we're going to hold them to their constitutional oath of office.
Could you take that to Mako?
Yes, I'll be happy to take that to Mako, and I'd be happy to take it to the Rural Coalition. In fact, Mr. Wentz and I together should take it to the Rural Coalition, because people in every county in this state are going to lose their jobs
Yeah, I
because
think
of
the-
this.
I think the impact is going to drive the way in which this is changed. But I think there needs, and, we've already heard that it could be crippling. But I think when you see the actual numbers, and it's more about small business, I don't want to, you've made the appropriate changes here, and I think we need to do that. That's the way that it is right now.
Right.
I think we should be more concerned about our small businesses and, you know, our business community.
I agree with you.
And, you know, I know that the chamber's looking at this, they're, you know, but again, I think the impact of this won't be felt until there are actual numbers that come about. So, you know, I would suggest that, yeah, at some point we should do that, but I'm not really in the place right now to entertain any type of pushback until I really see what the numbers are.
Commissioner Renshaw, what was your motion?
Well, my original motion was to instruct staff to push back on this by preparing to litigate against the state for violating Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution, which prohibits impairment of existing contracts.
All right. What was your second motion?
I tabled the first motion.
Okay.
I'm willing to entertain a second that we instruct staff to take no action at this point in time, and that we resolve to try to build a multilateral team of counties to jointly fund litigation against the state for violation of the United States Constitution.
Okay. Would you be comfortable with extending that to litigation and/or legislative, look at it in a little bit broader sense?
I think that the legislature doesn't care. They've got the numbers to cram this down. That ship's already sailed. They did it because they had the raw numbers. I think it was pretty much a partisan vote, if I recall. So I'm not opposed to a legislative solution, but ultimately, if we prevail in court, it will require a legislative solution.
Right.
But as I've always said, they do this to us because we let them.
Right.
This does not promote the general welfare. We know people are going to suffer and going to lose their jobs.
I think you might get a little more buy-in from folks that may be a little bit hesitant to litigate, at least start off with that path. If it's broader in nature to say, obviously, we need to take some action. I'm in favor of pursuing this.
So I'm willing to entertain language that says that we resolve to try to build a multilateral coalition to pursue a solution to this, to stop this, which could include either legislation and/or litigation against the state.
If that's your motion, I would second that.
That's my motion.
Okay.
May I
I'll second
add
it.
one more thing? Sorry. Also, in the law, if anything is filed with the Labor Commissioner saying that we violated this, there is a civil penalty for up to $1,000 for each employee that we are out of compliance with.
Okay.
So we're just
We're not talking about being out of compliance. We're talking about just taking this up as an issue.
Yeah, but
No, I just wanted to put that
No, I
in
understand.
there.
No, but I,
The original said direct staff not to implement this. So we
right,
went-
that's where I'm,
No, but that wasn't the second motion.
It was not part of the second. It was not my
No, no,
intention to
no.
include that as part of the second motion.
Okay, but
I
you
tabled- I
made it-
withdraw on the first.
Okay.
Second motion was to try to build a multilateral coalition of counties to fight this, either, by any means necessary, including with both both legislative and judicial litigation
Litigation, yeah,
remedies.
okay.
Yeah, but it was not to direct staff not to comply. You're going to comply, yeah.
Right.
You're safe.
Just wanted to
As
make
long as
sure.
that's out then, okay, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Well, first, thank you, Kim. I
Yeah.
think
You're welcome.
Your presentation is, I guess we're done. Any questions for Kim first before you go to the motion?
Thank you.
Other
All
than the
right.
fact that I know it wasn't easy, and you had to do a lot of extra work in order to make sure that these things were in compliance, so, again,
That's
thank
what
you.
we do.
I know.
Nice job. Plus, you had to do it quickly.
Yes.
That was a really nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Without a lot of answers from the state, unfortunately.
Right.
Well,
That's
that's
the way it
the
often
thing, I
happens.
think perhaps the way in which we're moving here could, I think when the numbers start to come in, there's going to be more of an uproar about this, because
I mean, the state is increasingly behaving in a way with a very cavalier attitude, using sophistry towards the plain English definition interpretation of both the United States and the state constitutions. It's got to stop. It's not only this, it's manifesting itself in other ways. Now they're trying to pass an ex post facto law that would criminalize thousands of Carroll County firearms owners merely by virtue of the fact they happen to possess a magazine of more than 10 rounds. That's clearly prohibited under Article 17 of the Maryland Declaration of Rights. You cannot pass an ex
let's
post-
just stay on
Wait,
this right
wait,
now.
No, but this part of this, because it's time, they will keep doing this until the local governments get together and start fighting back and saying, hell no. You're not going to shred our Constitution anymore. We're going to push back and defend the constitutional rights of our citizens, because that is the oath of office that we take. That's the oath of office we take. Now, I'm not suggesting we commit suicide and fight alone, but I do believe we can build a coalition of a couple of other counties. Look what we did with the Conowingo Dam with just 6 other counties. Look what we did with that. You heard yesterday. Ben Grumble said it should be the 8th state, the Conowingo watershed. And everybody said we couldn't do it. We need to send a message to Annapolis and a message to Annapolis, that we are going to stand up and defend the constitutional rights of our businesses, our employees, our firearms owners, and we're not going to just sit back and take it because they take votes. They can take all the damn votes they want. But if it's inconsistent with the United States or state constitution, it is pretended legislation, is not enforceable, and the only way you stop it is to challenge it legally. Anyway, thank you for your entertaining this, Commissioners. I think that needed to be said, because that's what most of our people are saying. That's 2/3 of Carroll County's population is thinking that way these days. They're angry, and they want us to defend them.
Do a vote to call for.
So, well, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Because for myself, I wouldn't mind looking into this to see if there's anything we can do about it. But I'm not interested in pursuing legislation or legal action at this time, because I don't know what the outcome of the investigation will be. I think we should look into it. Is there anything we can do to help out the businesses in Carroll County? All for it. But pursuing having the motion include legislation or
Litigation.
I'm sorry, we said?
Or litigation.
Litigation, or legal remedy against it. I'm not in favor of that right at this time. I'd be much more in favor if a motion says, let's look into this, let's see if we can help out the businesses of Carroll County, and if we can couple with some other counties around to do the same thing, I'm all for it. But
Well, that's the substance of the motion, though, Commissioner.
But you added to the legislation and
But I think you
legal.
had the word possible in there, right?
I said we will pursue a legislative and/or judicial remedy to this, which could include litigation. It doesn't mean we're going to, but they have to know Mr. Fist is there to back up Mr. Hand. If they don't think they're going to get sued, they're not going to stop.
So, to me, I think it goes to the fundamental question, are these decisions that really state government should even be involved in? And when you start looking at the complexities and the challenges of running a small business, and if they want to regulate what we do in government, what companies do over a certain size, I still have problems with that. But when you start looking at the small business community, and it's unfortunate because it really runs counter to, I think, an extraordinary effort by the governor and his administration to make Maryland more business-friendly. This just is like a throwback to the kind of stuff that we experienced over the last 8 years with the last administration.
Yes, it is.
And I don't care if they came up with a good formula or a bad formula, there should be no formula. There's an engagement between businesses and employees that says, this is what we're offering, do you want to work here? And at the end of the day, when we start manipulating that, first of all, you actually not only undermine the economics of things, but you also take away the ability to attract good employees by companies that are willing to do more. It's a level of meddling that just shouldn't exist at all. So, to me, I think we can probably prove it out in great measure. I understand that it's very early on, but at its very core, it's something that should never be undertaken as legislation. And I think on that face alone, it just needs to be challenged, if nothing else. So.
Call vote.
Okay, just for my mind, your motion is to pursue this, but looking at legal and legislative remedies.
To push back on this and to pursue both legislative and/or legal challenges to this in defense of our businesses and employees.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, move to approval and adoption of minutes. We have Thursday, February 1st at 10 a.m.
I will move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Give me just a second, please.
All right.
All right, I'm good, thanks.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes of February 15th at 10 a.m.
I move to approve.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. Is everyone ready? Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain.
For one. And we also have minutes for the, when we sat as the Board of Health to approve. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second that. We reviewed them earlier.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
I'll abstain from those two.
All right. Move on to agendas. Have the week of Tuesday, February 27th, Economic Alliance of Greater Baltimore Board of Directors meeting in Baltimore, Commissioner Wentz at 2 o'clock. At 6:20 that same day, Commissioner Rothschild is having a press conference in County Office Building in the Reagan Room. At 7 o'clock, we'll have a public hearing, and public comment will be taken about the Chapter 34 ethics. That will be at 7 o'clock.
Why, okay.
On Wednesday, the 28th, at 10 a.m., Maryland Association of Counties Tax Subcommittee meeting in Annapolis with Commissioner Wentz. Also at 10 o'clock, we have Maryland Association of Counties Land Use Subcommittee meeting in Annapolis with Commissioner Rothschild. And at 10:30, Maryland Association of Counties Legislative Committee meeting in Annapolis, Commissioners Wentz and Rothschild. On Thursday, March 1st, we'll go to a request approval for Citizens Participation Plan and Anti-Displacement and Relocation Plan with Department of Citizen Services. We'll move to a request for final approval of Change Incorporated FY 2018 Community Development Block Grant. Then we go to request approval to develop grant application for FY 19 Community Development Block Grant. And then a request approval to submit application for Volunteer Maryland AmeriCorps member. We'll move on to request approval for the revisions to the Veterans Advisory Council bylaws. And then request acceptance of FY 19 Promoting Safe and Stable Families Program Grant Award. Then we have request approval for FY 19 Civil War Heritage Area Grant application. A lot of request approvals in this day. Then we move to code modifications to Chapter 170 Construction Codes. And that will be discussion and possible decision. Then in the afternoon, we'll move additional discussion for public safety training, Safety Training Phase 2. And we'll move on to public comment on additional safety items. I'm not sure what that means.
Scott Campbell hasn't given me the wording on
See,
it.
remember we have the program that you guys put in the budget last year for retention and recruitment.
Okay.
These are the ideas.
Okay.
They'll be giving you the retention.
All right, sounds good. All right, Thursday, March 1st at 4 o'clock, Governor Hogan's Plan for a Better Maryland. In the Reagan Room, we have Commissioners Frazier, Wentz, Weaver, Howard, and Rothschild. And also at 4 o'clock, we have the Boys and Girls Club Westminster's Youth of the Year Award Ceremony in Westminster with Commissioner Wentz.
Yeah, so that's a previous commitment that I have that I'm going to honor. So I'll be here as soon as I can for the Plan for a Better Maryland.
Okay.
Which, I don't know, is that going to include eliminating the safe and healthy?
Saturday, March 3rd, 1 o'clock, South Carroll High School 50th Anniversary Grand Rededication in Sykesville with Commissioner Frazier and Howard.
Can you add me to that, please?
And then Sunday, March 4th, we have the Commissioner's Report with Commissioner Rothschild. The week of March 5th, excuse me, Tuesday, March 6th, we had the legislative update with Mike Fowler at 9 o'clock. On Wednesday, March 7th, the Maryland Association of Counties Tax Subcommittee meeting in Annapolis at 10 o'clock with Commissioner Wentz. Also at 10 o'clock, Maryland Association of Counties Land Use Subcommittee meeting in Annapolis, Commissioner Rothschild. And at 10:30, Maryland Association of Counties Legislative Committee meeting in Annapolis, Commissioner Wentz and Rothschild. 5 o'clock on Wednesday, March 7th, the Keller Williams Legacy West Grand opening celebration in Westminster with Commissioner Weaver. and a 6 o'clock Planning and Zoning Commission work session with Commissioner Wance. Thursday, March 8th, BWI Signature Breakfast with Dr. John Brothers in Hanover with Commissioner Howard at 7:30 a.m. Then we move on to our open session where we'll have a request for support of grant application for Maryland Historical Trust. We'll have an update on North Carroll High School. We'll move on to a very interesting, I'm sure, FY19 budget overview with the Department of Budget and Management. And Saturday, March 10th, we have Hampstead Manchester Business and Community Expo in Manchester Valley High School at 8:30.
I'll be there.
With Commissioner Weaver
I'll be there also.
and Commissioner Wance. And at 6:30, we have the Eagle Scout Corps of Honor ceremony with Commissioner Howard. And the Commissioner's report on Sunday will be Commissioner Howard. That's all we have, unless anyone else has anything else to bring up.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 And we're adjourned.
Want to stay informed about Carroll County government? Follow us on Facebook by searching for Carroll County Government.